I want to be a better football team at the end of that day at 5 o'clock on December 31st than we are right now. We have 15 practices. That's exactly the same amount you have in a spring practice. This equates to a spring. Even though you're in preparation, we're in a lot of fun. We ain't in game planning right now. We're in fundamentals, going back to basics and learning how to play football. It's 15 opportunities for these guys. That's one of the great gifts you have when you're a bowl team, is you get those 15 extra practice for your young players, your older players, and those seniors that are even going into the draft. It's the last time to get better at everything they do, to get physically conditioned, mentally conditioned. We want to be a better football team at the end of that day than we are now, because we're not through getting better. I don't think you can be, and there's a lot of things we need to improve on, and that's our goal. And then if we're better and we can play better, then we'll get the results we want. We're not interested in the results right now, about the process of how we practice and how we go about things. We want to be a better football team at the end of that game than we are right now.
Jimbo, in the building of your program, how big was the last time you were in Atlanta?
I think it was extremely critical, because we played a big-time opponent who had just been in the SEC championship game. They had a great year against a historical coach, one of the greatest coaches in college football history, and we were an upstart, as I say, not an upstart program, but an upstart from a new regime of how to do things. And it was important for me, in my opinion, not only to win our league games. We played very well in our league. We lost the league championship game that year. We won our Atlantic Division. But to go play a quality opponent from the SEC who was really highly regarded, and show our kids that we are back on that national stage and we can play with anybody in America. And that was, I think it was a pivotal point of really pushing us forward.
You got you your 10th win, too, that year. Did you think that was a big deal that first?
I do. Double-digit wins is always critical. I mean, I really do. I mean, it sets the tone that you have a significant part. Everybody said, well, you win 10 or you won 11. You didn't win it all. But I mean, how many teams would love to be a double-digit win team? And when you go back at the end of the season, how many actually are? And I think that's a significant number in that, saying that, something, these guys are in the hunt and they're reckoning for national honors and national titles, and that's what it's all about.
What does it do for you guys playing in a game that next year will be the semifinal? Obviously, you're focused on this year, but just in terms of your younger guys, what does that do for them, knowing that next year this is?
Well, I think, again, many times as you can get your young players in a stage on a neutral site to be able to comprehend what it's going to be like to play in those kinds of games, I think is critical. That's why we're starting to play a lot of kickoff games. And actually, in 2 years, we're coming back up there to open up with the University of Alabama and the kickoff game in the new stadium up there in 2 years. I think as many times as you can put your young men on those stages to where, hey, it's not just another game, but they feel comfortable in the atmosphere and environment around them, I think it's very critical. And I think it's a next step for all these, because we have a lot of great young players on our football team that have never been in that stage yet. And I think that's one of the next steps they need to take.
Jimbo, given your experiences in this bowl, were you following projections at all and crossing your fingers that it would work out to get to this particular?
I really was. I wanted to be in Atlanta. Not that anything else, because I know how they treat them. I know the city. I know the environment. I know where we're going to play. I know the atmosphere, and I know it was a New Year's Six. I mean, it was one of the, if we were going to Atlanta, my fingers were crossed. I was hoping that we ended up there. I love everything about going up there and playing there.
Jimbo, do you think Houston's kind of in the same situation that you guys were in your last trip, that Tom's trying to build that program?
No doubt. He's built it up, and they're going to be ready to play against us. They're not in a Power 5 conference, but they beat a lot of Power 5 teams, and they're as good as anybody in the country. I mean, you watch them play. And when teams win games, I say that all the time. Say, well, they're in this conference, and they won. Listen, when teams win, you win 12 football games. They don't give you 12 football games. You don't walk out and just win 12 games. Those things are hard to do. You know what I'm saying? And they're used to winning. They're going to expect to win, and they're going to be ready to play, and they're going to use it as a landmark to play against. We've been one of the most consistent teams in the country, and they're going to use that, and we better be ready to play, and I think we will be ready, because we respect them just like when we're talking about opening up with Alabama. We open up with Ole Miss next year. We play Clemson. We play Miami. We play Florida. We look at them exactly the same way. All you got to do is turn the tape on.
Yeah, to support that, they went on the road to beat Louisville in the second game of the year. Houston did.
It's a tough place to play.
Vanderbilt 34-0.
Exactly right.
Jimbo, you closed the regular season with 9 straight games. How good has this break been health-wise?
Well, I mean, people don't realize, we were banged and bruised now. We were a beat-up football team at the end of that season. Those last 3 to 4 games, guys would practice 1 day a week, maybe if you got 2 a day and a half here and there. We were a battered and bruised football team, and it was critical to get that back. Our guys, they were moving. Some of them guys were running around out there. I'd forgotten they could run. Some of them, I'd forgotten how they could run. And watching practice, it was good to see their bodies are recovering. That'd be critical. Excuse me.
Go ahead. This question's for you. What do you think makes it so evident for the Peach Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, want to do so much in terms of going to things like the MLK Museum, doing things like going to the Children's Hospital? Because, you could just look at it as, hey, you're here, play football, go home. what's that need to actually make it worth like enriching these kids' lives?
Well, everybody up here has been blessed. I mean, Stan played and coached, I played and coached, Jimbo obviously played and coached. And when you're in that kind of situation, you learn from the coaches you played for. And as a player, you know, as I said, you know, when I came in 18 years ago to be the president and CEO here, I said, you know, we're going to change everything we do and make it focused on the players. Because at the end of it, I'll tell you a quick story. I mean, when I played basketball at North Carolina State, Norm Sloan, we went to the NIT. We're 18, 19 years old. We practice at Pace University, and after practice, he says, all right, guys, get a shower. We're going to Broadway. We had never been to New York. So, you know, we're looking for an experience. He said, yeah, we're going to see a Broadway play. And we said, Broadway play? We didn't come to Broadway, New York to go to a Broadway play. We went to see The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas with Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton. And I will tell you, at 19 years old, I'm now 60, I have been to a play every time I go to New York because I had never experienced anything like that. And so the more you can take these young kids and put them in experiences where they can learn and be involved in things, who knows what develops out of that, right?
Exactly.
And so that's why we feel it's impingent upon us to create an experience for the players. The fans are going to have a great time. We're going to, you know, our fan fest will have 35,000 people in it. It's great games and everything else. The coaches obviously will have a great time during the week. The administration will do a great job with them, but we want to make sure the players, because some of these kids, this is the best experience they're going to get in their life, you know, from sort of backgrounds and everything else. I was there. I know what it's like. I mean, to play in the Alaska Shootout in Anchorage, Alaska. I've never been to Alaska before. We'll never get there again, probably. So it's all about the experiences you can expose the kids to, in our mind.
There's a lot more to education besides the classroom.
Exactly.
And that's what athletics can bring you. And it's the opportunities to put these kids in environments they have never seen. And it's amazing once they realize it and they understand it. And when they grow there, you ought to see them grow athletically. It's crazy.
I mean, civil rights, these kids weren't even alive when the civil rights
Exactly
movement
right.
was going on. And look around what's going around in our country now. And for them to all sit together and hear from people that actually went through the civil rights movement, I mean, that's as good as any class, maybe not at Florida State, but it's a pretty nice class to take, you know.
Coach, with the week-long bowl events, though, when it comes to game time, is it challenging for a coach to, when his game is on, guys get ready, get focused for the game again?
Not when you have a mature team and the leadership on your teams. They understand. We'll mark it out for them. Listen, we want them to enjoy everything, and then they do a great job at the bowl game of dwindling those things back toward the back end of the week, so the kids know there's not as many things to do, not as many places to go, because they know there's a game to play. They help us do that by how they do things. And those kids, you know, the first couple of days, they get there and they get excited. We want them to go have a good time and see yourself. But then also remember why you're here. And we remind them every day, and I think that's where the leadership of your team really comes in and focuses on that. And if you just keep reminding them and stay on top, it's usually pretty good, because they all, at the end of the day, you remember something, they still love to play and they love to win.
Time for a couple more, guys.
Stan, you mentioned earlier wanting fans to buy tickets from FSU directly. There obviously are other options out there. How do you think you guys are going to end up? Do you have an idea yet of what you guys are going to do?
Well, we're going to obviously continue to promote and push ticket sales. You know, I think based on history and how we've always done in the past and how our fans always come out, that we will have no problem selling out ticket allotment and hopefully go beyond that allotment. You know, it's not just about trying to hit the minimum. We want to sell as many tickets as we possibly can. And
I hope so, because our fan base, watch this team go up and have a chance to win 50 games, this senior class, what it's meant, what it's done for this university, to give the great support. These guys play their heart and souls out. They give us great support in this stadium. We're only 4 hours up the road. We need to do the same thing. I mean, I challenge our fans to do that. I really do, because we want to be there. We want to be in strong force. We want to show these guys how much we love them, send them out the right way, and carry us into the next year the right way.
This is a part of history, right?
Exactly right. It'll be a part of NCAA history.
Yeah.